Today's training, this is going to be for all the team leaders and higher. This is the 7 laws to creating momentum. I think everybody's going to really enjoy this training. This is something, like I said, that's really helped me out time and time again. Anytime that I ever want to create momentum, or I'm like, you know what, I need to get my organization to grow bigger, to perpetuate faster, I always fall back. This is like my default training, always, that works. And it's like I said earlier, it's like a science, right? Every time when you put, take baking soda and vinegar, explosion every time, right? And it's the same thing when it comes to this business. This is something that works time and time again. Everybody that focuses on what I'm about to share with you guys, everybody, trust me, you win. I've been doing this for 30 years, and I've always gone back to this anytime. And some of you, it'll be like eye-opening for you, right? You're like, oh my God, this is remarkable. So let's jump into it. The 7 laws. Here's the 7 laws of creating momentum. Number 1, momentum is a leader's best friend, right? Momentum is a leader's best friend. Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about momentum today right now. I think this is the most important thing to understand is John C. Maxwell talks about when a train is traveling at 55 miles an hour on a railroad track, it can crash through a 5-foot steel concrete reinforced wall. So imagine a train traveling at full speed, and then there's a 5-foot concrete steel reinforced wall in front of it. It'll slice right through it, just like it's butter, right? It'll just go right through it. But that same train, right, in a stationary position, won't even be able to, if you put a little 1-inch block in front of the driving wheel, it can't even get started. Same train, same track. What's the difference? Momentum. And everybody knows John C. Maxwell's book, The 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership, law number 16, the law of the Big Mo. This is something that I really studied, right? Is because I was trying to figure out, how do I make this thing happen? How do I grow fast? How do I make it happen? And that law really helped me understand it's all about momentum. Momentum is a leader's best friend, right? We've got to have momentum, because when your organization is growing like wildfire, it doesn't matter what the challenge is, right? It doesn't matter what obstacle, whatever you're going through. If you've got momentum, you can navigate through any type of an obstacle, any type of a challenge, right? And when your organization doesn't have momentum, it can feel so frustrated. You're like, why is my organization not growing? Why am I struggling? Why am I not having, great success? And a lot of times, I wouldn't say a lot of times, I would say every time, it has to do with momentum. If you can get momentum going in your organization, you can do anything, right? It makes leaders look better than they really are, right? It makes new people, have success, more than they really should at momentum will. And if you don't have momentum, it can make a leader look worse than they really are, right? So a lot of times that people, people might look at a leader and be like, oh, that person, they're doing really well, or that person's not doing really well. What's the difference? It's not necessarily sometimes the leader and their capacity or ability. Sometimes it's just momentum. And if I can share with you today in the next 30 minutes on how to create momentum, I guarantee you're going to say to yourself, you know what, I can do this. What I'm going to talk about is something everybody can do. Okay. It has nothing to do with skill set. It has to do with focus. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it. So everybody knows there's 3 stages of momentum. Momentum stage number 1, creating momentum, law of Big Mo, law of victory. Those are great laws to, in John C. Maxwell's book, to study. Advancing momentum, law number 20. That's my default law for that. I'm going to talk about that at the end of the training. And then sustaining momentum is the law of legacy. Those are the ones that I think, there's a 17 indispensable qualities to a team player. And he has the law of high morale in there. That one is something to study as well in that book. But today we're going to talk about the basics of how to create momentum. So I think everybody's going to get great value. So law number 2 is momentum takes an absolute focus, right? When you've got a primary focus, that's how you create massive momentum. What's your focus, right? And I know somebody goes, well, my focus is super simple, Tim. I just, use, talk, demo, right? I just use the products, talk about the products, demonstrate the products. Great, right? Tim, all I do is I just do pop up after pop up after pop up. Tim, I do, I just do, launch Zooms, right? Somebody gets started, I do a launch Zoom. It doesn't necessarily matter in what methodology you're using. What matters is why you're doing it. That's the most important thing I want you to get across in your mind. Is it like over the last 30 years, we built organizations just, I've used, back in the days, there was something called conference calls, where it was like a Zoom, but there was no visual. It was just everybody got on a conference call, right? And probably some of you guys remember conference calls. I built an organization and made a fortune just doing conference calls, right? I built an organization just doing one-on-ones at Starbucks. I've done, became wealthy just doing home meetings. Become wealthy just doing hotel meetings. I became wealthy doing, office meetings. It doesn't matter what I do. It matters why I do it, right? So if you know the why, what you're doing is not. A lot of times people are like, oh, what am I doing wrong? Well, sometimes what you're doing is wrong is you think you're doing something wrong, right? A lot of times the only thing people are missing is the fact they think they're missing something. Like literally, you've got what it takes, right? You've got what it takes, you know, and I love what Tommy Lee always says, right? You've got what it takes, but it's going to take what you got, right? Director Tommy Lee out of Hawaii said that about probably 23 years ago when I was him and I were doing a training together. I was like, dude, Tommy, you blew my mind with that one. And I probably, you know, I've shared that so many times throughout the years because it's true, right? You've got what it takes, but it takes what you got. But it's about the focus. That's the mission, right? So let's talk a little bit about it. Absolute focus. People ask me all the time, Tim, would you rather have 1,000 customers or 1,000 planners? Okay. And I think most people are like, oh, Tim, for sure. Tim's he's a recruiter, man. He just wants 1,000 planners. No, I would rather have 1,000 customers over 1,000 planners. But hang on for a second. Hang on for a second. If you ask me, Tim, would you rather have 1,000 leaders or 1,000 customers? I'd rather have 1,000 leaders. So I'm looking for leaders, right? That's what I'm looking for. I'm looking to develop leaders, right? That's why when I saw the check match, the matching bonus that we have here at RIMAN, that's what got me I was like, Danny, this is jackpot. This is amazing, right? That matching bonus is really why I'm here, because I like to develop leaders and get them making money. And the more leaders that I have making money, boom, the more money that I'm going to make, right? If you want to have that, tickle your toes and that, drinking pina colada money, it's all about developing leaders that are making money. So I'm looking to develop leaders, okay? That's how we create massive momentum, is by creating leaders. But let's talk about how you create leaders. That's really the main focus, right? And I love what Zig Ziglar said. He says, you can take a magnifying glass and ignite a pile of leaves, right? If you concentrate the power of the sun through a magnifying glass, right? At a focused specific spot, and do not move that glass, right? If it's a hot day, take that magnifying glass, put it, on some leaves, and you focus it, it'll burn, right? Right? But even if you magnify by the power of the sun, okay, through the magnifying glass, you'll never start it if you keep moving it around. You got to have an absolute focus. So the question is, to create momentum, what is your absolute focus? What are you focusing on? What are you focusing on? And that's what I want to share with you right now, right? Is the law number 3, right? Is never deviate or complicate. This is the key is mastering the mundane, right? Mastering the mundane, meaning doing something that's super simple time and time again, and never deviate from it. And let me show you what that looks like, right? And you guys all know how the plan works, right? Planner, manager, senior manager, team leader, okay? And everybody wants to have more team leaders, right? How do you create more team leaders? We obviously have more senior managers. How do you create more senior managers? Get more managers. That's the magic. I just gave you the cheat code, okay? Right there. It's about creating more managers. If you look, I can show you guys, like, when you look at your back office, you see that report, that little circle report on our reporting system that has the circles, right? How many planners you have, how many managers, senior managers, all that stuff, right? I can guarantee you almost all of you have way more planners than you do managers, right? But the managers, the senior managers is about even, right? If you've got, 500 managers, you probably have about 500 senior managers. If you have 10 managers, you probably have 10 senior managers, okay? It may be even more senior managers than managers. And then what happens is you'll have more team leaders, right? So, but the most important thing is realizing that people that go manager, what do? They go senior manager. It's all about getting the way I look at our business is I want more team leaders. Make no mistake about it. I want more directors. I want more senior directors. I want more national directors. But the focus is, how do I get more planners to manager? That's what I never deviate from. And I'm going to talk a little bit about it, right? You guys all know the manager qualifications, whatever customers sell or buy, or whatever you sell or buy, personally, and then your planner seller buys. Once it equates to 3,000 SP within a 3-month period, obviously no more than 1,500 from one recruit. We know what manager qualifications look like. I don't want to talk about this, but here's what I want you to realize. The hardest way to become a national director is to focus on national director. Okay. The hardest way to become a national director is focus on national director. The simplest way to become a national director is by focusing on creating managers, because if you create managers, you're going to get senior managers every time, right? And if you hit senior managers, you're going to create team leaders, right? If you get team leaders, you're going to get directors. And if you get directors, you're going to become a national director. So if you could, let's talk about director for a second, because I know we got mainly team leaders on this call. Think about this. How bad do you want to become a director? If you could quantify that, right? If you could measure that, right? If you could measure how bad you want to become a director, what does that look like? Right? On a scale of 1 to 10. Somebody goes, Tim, it's a 10, man. I want to be with you guys in Jeju Island. I'm committed. I'm ready to make it happen. I'm ready to win. Tim, I'm serious, man. I'm telling you right now, I'm dead serious about RIMAN. I'm going to make this thing happen. I want to be a 10 out of 10. I want to be a director. Guess what? If you can get your new people to be that excited about hitting manager, that's how you're going to become a director. I just gave you the cheat code right there. Why? Because if you get people on the escalator of success and you get them to manager, getting on the escalator of success is getting to manager. Managers, now you're on the escalator. If you get somebody on the escalator, they're going to go senior manager. If you got your senior manager, they're going to go team leader, right? If you get them team leader, they're going to go director. There's no way to fail in RIMAN. Okay, well, there's two ways to fail. Number one is not get started, right? Then you automatically fail. And number two is you quit. And what do I mean by getting started? I'm not talking about necessarily, filling out, a link and getting started. I'm talking about what? Engaging in the process. Now, if somebody gets started, hey, Tim, everybody that on my team, everybody gets two 1,500 point packs, man. Everybody gets started manager. I'm not talking about that type of manager. I'm talking about somebody engaging in the process of getting customers and recruiting. You understand? I'm not saying not to get people started at 1,500 points. I'm not saying not to get somebody started at 1,500 packs. That's, obviously that's what I did when I got started. I got 1,500 packs. I'm not saying that right or wrong. What I'm saying is engaging in the process. Get what I'm saying, please. Right? I'm talking about engaging in the process of introducing the products to people, engaging in the process of introducing the opportunity to people. That's what I mean when I say, how do you track that? Well, if somebody introduces the business to people and customers to people, now they're engaged in the process. Now they're on the escalator of success. So manager is just a benchmark to get people to recruit and get customers, or one or the other, right? But what I want you to realize is, we've got to get people engaged in the process. That's the magic. All the new people that get started in your organization, what my favorite book of all time is, it's over there, is Your First Year Network Marketing by Mark Yarnell, right? Mark Yarnell book, First Year Network Marketing. And he says in that book, he says new blood is the lifeblood of the business. New blood is the lifeblood of the business. It's the new people coming in, getting them on that escalator, getting them to manager, right? I love what, this is the way I look at it, right? The thermometer records the temperature. Okay, you guys all know that, right? Most of us have one of these in our house, right? The thermostat controls the temperature. Okay, if you want to make it colder or hotter, what do? You mess with the thermostat. But the thermometer records the temperature. How do you record the temperature in your organization, right? That's new planners that are getting started, right? If you got your organization's growing because you have new planners getting started, that's great. That'll tell you how your organization's doing. But how many of those people are becoming new managers? That's the magic. If you want to change the temperature in the room, right? You want to change the temperature of your organization, you've got to create new managers. Because if they go manager, what are they going to do? They're going senior manager. If they go senior manager, what are they going to do? They're going to go team leader. If they go team leader, what are they going to do? They're going to go director. That's how we grow the business, right? Is by growing the people. So let's talk a little bit about it, right? I love this. Is streamline your DMO, right? This is law number 4, right? Creating momentum, streamline your DMO. What am I talking about? The most important activity is building a successful RIMAN team is creating a manager factory. That's literally all. When I got started in RIMAN, I'm okay. All I asked Danny was this: what's the first earn rank, and how do I get there? And I knew that if I could just get people hitting that first rank, streamline my focus, I knew that my organization was going to grow like wildfire. People throughout the industry that I mentored throughout the years call me sometimes like, Tim, you know what? My organization's plateaued, right? I'm in XYZ company. I say, bro, it doesn't matter what company you're in. It doesn't matter. All that matters is this: what is your focus, right? Your focus has got to be the first earn rank. So whatever somebody's first earn rank is in any type of business, that's the magic. That's the magic. It's not about how many people you recruit. It's how many people you get recruiting that hit the first earn rank. Because if they hit the first earn rank, what do we know from being in this industry, right? What does it tell us, right? We've all been in RIMAN for a while. We know that if somebody goes manager, they're going senior manager. Right? More times than not, right? So if we streamline our focus to everything that we do is designed to get a brand new. Why would I recruit a new person? To get them to manager? Why would I go do a pop-up to create a manager? Why would I go do a business opportunity presentation to create a manager? Every activity I'm doing, it's not what I'm doing, it's why I'm doing it. The why is to create new managers. We've got to create a manager factor if you want to create momentum, right? Because high morale is what creates momentum, right? So I love what Lao Tzu said, right? He said the journey of 1,000 miles begins with the first step. The first step in any undertaking is the most important step. And that first step in RIMAN is what? Manager. So what are the planners right now that you're working with that are your new projects that you're developing as managers? Literally, that's all I do is I get a brand new leg started, create them to manager. Then I know that I'm going to create them, and then I'm going to grab their new people, get them to manager, and I'm just going to duplicate that over and over and over and over and over again until they become a team leader. And then once they become a team leader, right, it's like you guys now boom, you get the big money. Now it's your time. And I go open up another line, right, create a manager, and then boom, 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 same process, time and time again, right? It's like that's literally all we do. It's like I never deviate from that. I'm giving you guys the cheat codes to how to become successful in this business. Okay. And this is law number, obviously 7 laws, creating the momentum, law number 5, grow people and your business will grow, right? Grow your people and grow your business, right? So Here's the way that my mentor taught me this. He drew a bucket, right? And he said this is our industry. And he says new people get started and they jump in the bucket. New people get started, they go in the bucket. New people get started, they go in the bucket. But he said the bucket in our industry, he said, is there's a little hole in it. And I learned this 30 years ago, blew my mind, right? I drew this little bucket, right? And I'm like, okay, people are joining, they're jumping in this bucket, they're jumping in this bucket, they're jumping in this bucket. You're getting people started, they're getting in this bucket. But what happens is there's a little hole in the bucket. And what happens in that, why that hole, what happens with that hole is, guess what? As you look at that hole right there on that bucket, is you see people what? Fall out of the hole. And he told me, he said, Tim, people fall out of the hole in the bucket. I said, well, dang. Well, why don't we clog the hole? He says, it's not possible. He goes, you can't clog the hole. And I go, oh, this doesn't make me feel good. He goes, it's the same, Tim, with everything, right? People, guess what they do, right? They go to, they enroll in college and never graduate, right? People will start a diet, never, be consistent, or they'll join a gym and they won't be consistent. He said, there's always going to be a hole in the bucket in everything that you do. And I go, well, how do we like avoid the bucket, right? He said, Tim, the way to do it is you don't try to change the bucket. You try to change your people. You don't try to change the bucket. You change your people. I said, what do you mean by that? He said, if this is the size of a planner, he goes, managers are going to be bigger and it's going to be harder for them to fall out of the bucket. He goes, if you create a senior manager, it's going to be bigger. It's going to be harder for them to fall out of the bucket. You create a team leader, it's going to be harder for them to fall out of the bucket. So the bigger you grow your people, the harder it is for them to squeeze out of the bucket, right? So you want to grow your people so they stick. Okay, that's the most important thing. We're trying to grow people. And how do we do that, right? Let's focus on it. We know the 4 stages of learning. Mr. Danny Bays taught us this time and time again. Stage 1 is unconscious incompetent, right? A baby's born, it doesn't know that it can't walk. It doesn't even know what walking is, right? It's just, just whining and wants to get some, wants to eat, right? Maybe do a little bit of duty time and sleep and what they're doing, right? And then once they realize that everybody else is walking around, they're like, hey, I want to do that too. I want to get mobile. Now they start crawling. Now they're conscious, meaning they're aware, and incompetent, meaning they can't do it. So they went from unconscious, unaware, and to being incompetent. They're unaware that they can't do it. Then stage 2, they become aware they can't do it. They're consciously incompetent. Now they're crawling around. And the 4 stages of learning, right? What we know, then they become consciously competent, right? They can do it. They're conscious, or they're competent. They can do it, but they're conscious, meaning they're aware now. They have to focus on it, right? They have to focus on it. And then obviously they become, like majority of us today on the call, we can just boom, we can walk without even thinking about it. We become unconsciously competent. But that conscious competence stage, that's the magic. Okay, that's where the magic's created. So how do we get people to that conscious competence stage? We've got to grow our people. We've got to help them get to manager. And I don't want to say help them get there, because helping might not necessarily be the right word, but it's equipping them to get to manager. That's the magic, because then they're going to start to get confidence that they can do it. Oh my God. Remember when you became a manager, how'd you feel, right? It's like, boom, right? That's exactly, we've got to develop people and help them start seeing the results. So let's talk about what law number 6 is, right? Start successful, be successful. This is something that I truly love. This, I think, will be the best part that you'll learn the most from. You guys all know what this looks like, right? We call it, you see Mr. Danny Bay do it. Last year, you're at the team leader and hire, at the team leader and hire training that we did. I think it was in July. We talked about this, is that basically the recruiting pipeline or duplication pipeline. And it's basically somebody gets started, right? We get them on an orientation or a connection call, right? A connection call is basically getting together with them on a Zoom, right? And just basically helping them, connect with them. I'll talk about what that looks like in a second. And then step 2, right? Get them to a launch, whether it be a launch meeting, right? Or a pop-up, is getting in the first 24 to 48 hours that they want to get on the fast track. It's all about speed and exposure, right? Getting it to going right now. Then obviously attract and attack, right? A lot of people like to do attraction marketing, but the good people that you find are going to come from you attacking and reaching out to people, right? And then pre-talk inform, everybody knows we've got to find out people's hot buttons, why they would want to get started in RIMAN, get them to an exposure, whether it be a Zoom or pop-up or however you do it, doesn't matter, right? Maybe you bring them to the VIP event tonight in Southern California if you're here. It doesn't matter what you do. Then you overcome the objection, right? Any objections they have. Understand the difference between objections and rejection. An objection is perfect. That means that they need more information about a certain topic. And then you enroll, receive payment, plug them into the daily Zooms. First 4 weeks are very important. And then create a manager and duplicate. Boom, over and over and over again, right? So we know what this duplication pipeline looks like. But always remember, a successful start is what's going to get somebody to manager. Okay, the first 24 to 48 hours is the most important time to get connected and get results, right? So when a brand new person gets started as a team leader, who makes the big money? As a team leader, a planner gets started, how much do you make, right? How much do you make? If it's sponsored by another planner, you know how much you make, right? You're going to make anywhere between 20 to 25% of whatever they sell or buy. So you realize that you get the big money, right? You get the big money. The new person gets 10%, the sponsor gets 5% if they're a planner, and you're getting what? 25%. So you're getting now if there's a senior manager above him, he's getting 5%. Now you're getting what? You're going to get 20%. But I'm telling you, the big money comes to you as a team leader. So what do you want to do? Why does the company pay you the big bucks? To launch these brand new people, right? To get them fast track to becoming manager. That's why you get paid the big bucks. That's what the compensation plan says, right? So let's talk a little bit about it, right? Brand new person is excited, man. When they get started, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm ready to go. We got the best products on the planet. I'm going to be knocking wrinkles off everybody's face. Everybody in my neighborhood is going to be looking better. All my friends are going to be looking better. My family's going to be beautiful. I'm ready to go, right? We got the stuff. And then we do a welcome call or a connection call with them. We'll get connected with them, find out what their why is, find out what's going on in their life. Man, we're getting them excited. And boom, right? Then we set up a Zoom launch, right? Or we do a pop-up launch and we get them, let's launch their business. Let's go, right? They're excited. They're ready to make it happen. Bam, they hit manager right away. Boom, they're excited. They go team leader. Woo, man, we did it, right? We're developing leaders. We're making it happen. Now I'm going to show you the flip side, right? You get somebody started and they're fired up. They're ready to go. There's no connection call. We don't connect with them. We just leave it up to somebody else to try to launch them. Hope they do it, right? Maybe jump on this. They didn't jump on the orientation. It's their fault. Well, you didn't do that connection call. You didn't do that welcome call. And then boom, next thing you know, flushed, right? You want to make sure that you are getting your people that are brand new, connecting with them as a team leader because you get paid the big bucks to do it, right? This is literally all I do, right? So let's talk about confidence is contagious. Okay, I'm going to talk about how to do a connection call. We're going to wrap this thing up. We're going to be done early. Yeah, we're going to be done way early. Whoa. Okay, so confident. Okay, launching with confidence. I always give this example. Confidence is contagious. Imagine that there was 2 chairs and there was a little 2x4 in between those 2 chairs. Maybe the chair is what, 1.5 feet, 2 feet off the ground. I don't know how big chairs are. I've never measured it, but whatever, a normal chair. And there's a 2x4 across it. And I told somebody, hey, look, you know what? Walk across that 2x4. I'll give you $1,000. What are they going to do? Heck yeah, man. $1,000. I'll do that all day long. How many times can I do it? Right. That's what they're going to be thinking. Oh, they're going to walk across this, right? Somebody gets started. What are they doing? They're walking across. Yeah, they made it. Okay. Super simple. Now, if we say, now that same 2x4 is exact same. And now it's, instead of it being on a 2-foot, chair, 1.5 foot, you guys know how I'll measure them later and figure out what that looks like. Instead, it's a 40-story building, 2 40-story buildings, 2x4 across it. And I say, hey, look, you know what? I'll give you $1,000 if you walk across this 2x4. Nobody's doing it. What's the difference, right? There's no confidence there because they know that if somebody walks across that 2x4 40-story buildings, right, they're going to do what? Right? Their fear is that if they fall, what could possibly happen, right? If somebody falls off those buildings, right, they're going to fall splat, right? We know. So the difference is the confidence, right? When you get somebody started, you got to know that you can get them to manager. You have to know that you can do it. You have to be able to have that confidence and know that you can get somebody to manager. Now somebody goes, Tim, I don't know if I could create a director. I don't know if I could create a team leader. I don't know if I can do that, man. It doesn't matter whether you can do that. All that matters is you can get them to manager and then help them get their people started and help them do what? Get to manager and help their people get started and help them get to manager. And you keep doing Control C, Control V, Control C, Control V, inch by inch, right? What, right? We know this business is a cinch, right? We know what? Yard by yard is when it becomes what? Hard. We've got to launch our people. We got to launch our people, but we got to have the confidence. When people get on a launch call with you, man, they're going to be like, wow, you know what? This person can get me where I want to go because they can feel your confidence because they know that you can get them to where they want to go. We're going to take care of you. It's the little things that you say, man, we're going to make sure you make it, right? I'm going to, you know what I mean? All you got to do is just do X, Y, Z. I'm going to do the rest. We're going to make it happen, but I want you to watch and learn. You know what I mean? Because week number 1, I'm going to do the majority for you. I'm going to do 100%. You watch. You just get me in front of people. I'll do the work. Week number 2, I'm going to do 20%. I'm going to do 80%. You're going to do 20. Week 3, now you're going to do 80. I'm going to do 20. And the week number 4, you're going to do 100%. I'm going to watch and admire you. I'll show you how to duplicate this thing quick. We're going to teach you how to do this thing. It's super simple. We're going to make this thing happen. Don't worry about trying to, dig the roots. We're going to pick the fruits. We're going to make this thing happen. It's just having that confidence to know you can get people to where they want to go and getting connected with them. When a brand new person gets started, they should know, right? The sponsor should know, I got to get them on a connection call with my upline team leader. I got to get them on a connection call with my upline team leader, right? That should be the first thing they're wanting to do. Hey, I got a brand new person started. When can you do a connection call, right? And I know some of us are very busy, right? So you might have to point them to an orientation because some of you are only working this business very part-time. But if at the beginning, when you don't have a ton of momentum, let's say that, last month you only signed up 20 new planners, right, in your team. I don't know what the number looks like. I'm just giving you an example. you should be able to connect with those people, right? 20 people, right? When your organization is cranking out, 3, 4, 500 people a month, you don't have time probably to be able, obviously you don't have time to launch all those people, but you want to be able to duplicate it, right? And duplicate it and duplicate it. And then make sure the new people that sign up, those brand new people, they're on the connection call too, so they can watch and learn, right? We're doing duplication, right? We're duplicating what we know how to do. So I'm going to give you guys, these are some tips, and I'm sure every organization's got different tips of what they teach on connection calls. But my main thing is like, do you want to get on the fast track or the regular track? And I don't try to promote the fast track. If somebody just wants to make $500 a month, that's perfect. Like I want to know what they want to make. I'm not going to be like trying to downplay, $500 a week or $500 a month. Nothing wrong with that, right? And I just tell somebody, what do you want to? I'm trying to find out what they want to get out of RIMAN. And when I'm on that connection call with them, all I'm doing is trying to find out what their why is, right? Why do they want to make money? Why do they want to be successful? What do they want to have out of this business? And if they're like, man, I just want to make $500 a month to offset the cost of living, I would just say, man, that's perfect. Let's do it. I'm going to make sure that no matter what, as long as you do your part, I'll do my part, and we'll make it happen together, right? But I just ask them, hey, do me a favor though, would you? And they say, sure. I say, look, when I get you to 500 a month, would you at least be open-minded to going to maybe 500 a week? Now, I'm not saying you have to, but just at least keep an open mind. Is that okay? And yeah, for sure. Because I'm trying to get people that want to make more money. But at the beginning, sometimes people don't see that, right? And if I'm like, oh my God, we're going to help you make $5 billion, they're going to freak out, right? Because they just want to make $500, right? So you don't try to prescribe out of your own autobiography. You understand? What you want and what they want aren't. I used to do this my first probably 3 or 4 years. Is I was just like trying to get everybody to want to make millions of dollars. It's like, oh my goodness, right? I've probably scared the bejesus out of most people. I want to help them get whatever they want to get out of RIMAN. You understand? But I want them to be open-minded to getting more. You know what I mean? Because I'm trying to develop leaders, right? I'm trying to develop. I would rather somebody be a national director than a manager, obviously. So, once I get them making money, then I want them to be open-minded about going a little bit further. And if they're not, if they're like, no, dude, I just want to make $500, I'm never going to be open-minded to making more. That's cool too. Like, it doesn't matter to me. I'm going to help you get what you want, and then it's up for you to be able to make that decision. So I walk them through the enrollment links, right, on the connection call. And we used to do these back in the days when we signed somebody up. We would do a connection meeting. We go meet with them at a Starbucks because we didn't have Zooms and stuff like that back. You know what I mean? We would, right when somebody gets started, boom, let's get together the next day and let's help you get this thing rolling. Now we just do it on Zoom, so it's a lot easier and a lot faster. But you want to make that individual connection, right? Walk them through how the enrollment links work. Touch a heart before you ask for a hand. It's like, I'm going to know what their why is, not what they want, but why they want what they want. You know what I mean? It's like, what's their why? What's going to motivate them? And it's literally, my connection calls are usually about 45 minutes to an hour. Mine are longer than most people's. And the reason being is because I really care about people. I want to get to know this person. I want to make a new friend. I want them to know that, dude, this guy is here for me, right? I want them to know, like, I'm trying to create a relationship where if they get a flat tire, they call me, right? That's the relationship I'm trying to make with my brand new people. So you get that vision casting, you get that 5-year thinking in that connection call, right? Make sure they have a pack, right? If they don't have a pack, obviously, like, we got to get them a pack. I mean, obviously the majority of people get packages, but I'm going to help them get a package, right? And I'm going to, as a leader, I'm going to, you know what I mean? Like, as a team leader, I'm going to push them, obviously, to get a little bit out of their comfort zone to be able to get more products. Why? Because I know that if somebody gets a bigger package and a guy that gets a small package, who's going to win? Not always the bigger package guy is going to win, but I'm telling you, 99% of the time, right? Somebody that gets more products is going to be more committed because they've got the products they need to be successful. They're going to be able to create a testimonial on every product that we have. I mean, it's obvious. We already know that. I don't need to explain that. Launch your business documents in the drive. You guys all know where the drive is still there. It's just, it's a little link, right? And schedule their, and then you guys all know that it'll be obviously updated with our new IT. So it's going to be about the IT. I know someone's talk about IT. IT is going to be perfect. You know what I mean? Like, IT is doing IT. I'm a marketing guy. That's what I do. I market, right? I don't do IT. I know they're working their butts off. I know that everybody was in Orlando last week and they're doing the people that are our IT team. They're working hard, making everything perfect. And I know the platform. I know exactly how it works. It's going to be perfect. So I'm a little bit more patient than most people because I know what my job is and I just do it, right? So schedule a launch pop-up with the upline, right? Schedule their launch pop-up and or their launch call. Right? If it's a launch Zoom, I'll do a launch Zoom or the launch pop-up. We want to do that right away, right? 24 to 48 hours. We want to, if they want to go fast track, right? If they want to go fast track, we want to do it as soon as possible. If somebody's just like, man, I just want to take the normal track, the regular track, perfect. Okay, let's schedule in a week or so. Now, somebody asks me all the time, they say, Tim, why do you want to do a pop-up in the 24 to 48 hours? There's not going to be as many people there as if they gave them a week. I would rather do a pop-up tomorrow, right, with 3 people than a pop-up next week with 20 people. Somebody goes, that's crazy, Tim, why? Because if somebody calls somebody and says, hey, I need you to come over to my house right now, there's urgency. Those 3 people that I talk to, they're going to get started and they're going to do the same thing. They're going to be doing 24 hours. They're going to want to go fast too. Because how you bring people in is how you bring them up. I'm trying to get in front of people fast, right? Now, not everybody wants to go fast. They want to go on the regular track. But however they bring people in is how they're going to bring them up. So if I call somebody and say, hey, man, I'm really excited about something. I just found a way to make a lot of money, right? And I want to talk to you about it next week. They're like, dang, dude, it must not be too important, right? But I just saw something I'm so fired up about. You got to come over here no matter what. Just trust me, come over here to my house, and there's excitement and urgency, and they bring them in that way. Those people are going to duplicate that same behavior. So I like to go fast. I know some people are like, I don't like to go fast. I'd rather talk to 20 people in 1 hour than 3 people. I get that. It's debatable. I can debate with you, but I don't care how you do it. Do whatever you want to do. I'm just giving you guys a prescription on the way that I do it, right? Speed and exposure, because I know that success loves speed. Rank advance your new planner to manager first 48 and 72 hours. Get them on the fast track. Not if they want to go on the fast track. Not always is that possible. Sometimes it takes a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Sometimes it takes 3 months. Heck, you know what I mean? But just get everybody there, right? We're going to get everybody there. I like to ask people, fast track, slow track. You want to make 500,000 a week or 500,000 a day, or do you want to make 500,000 a month? If they want to make 500,000 a month, put them on a slower track. You understand? Put them on that normal track. Because you don't want to have, like, if somebody just wants to make $500 a month, I don't want to meet with people within 24 to 48 hours, right? You know what I mean? I don't want to do that because that organization is going to grow too fast and they're going to make more money than what they want to make. So give them a prescription to what they want. Don't kind of promote what you want, promote what they want, and give them a game plan to be able to get there, right? So I love the law of explosive growth, right? And I'm going to wrap this thing up here. Is leaders that develop leaders, right? They want to be succeeded, right? Leaders that develop followers, John C. Maxwell says, need to be needed, right? They want to be needed. They want people to need them. Okay, that's how you develop followers. If you want to develop leaders, you want people that can work this business independent without you, right? Leaders that develop leaders, they focus on strengths. Leaders that develop followers, they focus on weaknesses. So if you look at your organization and you talk about what you don't like, you're going to get more of it, right? If you look at your organization and talk about what you love about them, you're going to get more of it. So focus on people's strengths because we're looking to develop what? Leaders, right? Leaders develop leaders, they focus on the top 20%. Leaders that develop followers focus on the bottom 20%. Leaders that develop leaders, they give the power away. Leaders that develop followers, they hoard all the power, right? And leaders that develop leaders, they grow by multiplication. Leaders that develop followers, they grow by addition. You want to do what, right? You want to grow by multiplication. Momentum is created by high morale, right? High morale is created by victory, and victory is created by promoting the newest person to the first earned position. That's literally the magic in this business. Who are your new people that you're working with? Who are your new groups, right? Who are your new legs that you're building? Who are your new lines of business? That's the primary focus, right? Is getting our new lines of business going, right? So I always look at it like Popeye, right? We all know Popeye. Popeye was he was the man, right? Popeye, he was kind of like not doing so well, right, in life. And then Brutus would come, and Brutus was like being like basically like a jerk, right, to him, and whatever he was doing. I think he was kind of hitting on olive oil a little bit. Popeye didn't like it, but he didn't have what it takes to defeat Brutus. What did he do? He popped that can of spinach open, and then he said, I stands all I can stands. I can't stands no more. And then boom, he turns into a manager crane factory. I'm telling you right now, qualifying for managers like eating that can of spinach for Popeye, right? It's it. Like getting qualified. That's literally what you do is you have people that once they hit manager, man, they believe. You got to get excited about a manager. If you created a national director, how excited would you be? Oh man, I'd be excited. Be that excited about a manager. Because if you want to create a national director, you got to do what? Create a manager. Managers is where it's all at. Getting managers created. That's where it's all at. We all know that, right? Because we want to create leaders, right? You're the lead dog, right? And the pace setter of your own organization, right? The speed of the pack is determined by the lead dog. You're the pace setter of your organization. If it is to be, guess what? You know what? It is up to me. I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to step up. That's got to be the mindset. You got to be able to say to yourself, you know what? I am the lead dog of my organization. I am the pace setter of my own team. And I'm going to develop a manager right now. Who's the next manager you're going to create? Who's the next manager after that you're going to create? Who's the next manager after that you're going to create? Who's the next manager after that are you going to create? And you want to start developing people in multiple lines. You guys get that? Like, and what I teach the team leaders, right, that I work with, I say, look, you want to have 10 legs as senior managers. The comp plan only says 3. There's not one time I do a training where I don't talk about this. I talk about it over and over and over till people get sick of it. Why? Because if you want to be profitable, you build wide. If you want to build stability, you build depth. You want to build both. But understand, You only need 3 to hit the rank, but you want to have 10. So even if you hit the rank with 3 or 4 or 5 lines, you still want to create 5 or 6. If you're a team leader right now, let's say you've got 3 or 4 legs. What would happen if you had 6 legs? What would happen if you had 10 legs? Your income would go through the roof, right? But what happens is sometimes we focus too much on one group, right? And we don't pass the baton, right? You don't develop leadership. We're looking, if you have 10 lines of senior managers running, that's how you're going to make the big bucks as a team leader. And then someone will become team leader and you just, boom, you get another 10 one. You create 2 team leaders. You should have 10 legs at all times, always running. This is the magic, right? This is the magic. You know, it's the same thing, right? It's the same thing with director. How many legs do you need? You need 10. You need 10 legs of team leaders. I mean, you need 3 to hit director, but you want 10. You guys see that? Somebody's like, oh, Jesus Christ, 10 just changed qualifications. No, you only need 3. I'm sorry. But what I'm saying is you want to have 10, right? If you see the directors that are making the big bucks, right? When Chris and I were directors, I was looking back and I was like, man, we were doing about 1.5 million open line volume as a director. Why? Because we had so many legs of team leaders running, right? It's the same thing, right? National directors only 4. Right? Chris and I have got 8 legs of directors, right? And we're working on 2 more. So you always want to be creating new lines of leaders, no matter what rank that you're at. You want to have more leaders that you're developing. Always, always, always have a new project you're working with. You want to have a new person you're developing, right? To new planners you're developing to manager. New managers you're developing to senior manager. New team leaders you're developing to director. New directors you're developing to senior director. New senior directors you're developing national. Everybody, you want them on the escalator of success. You want to have projects that you're working with. It's all about developing leadership. You've got what it takes, right? This is our time to do something special. And how do you build a director? How do you do all that? You do it one manager at a time, inch by inch, right? Brick by brick. That's how you build this thing. You don't have to be a superstar. You just create a manager. Create a manager. You understand? I love that. One of my favorite quotes, I think it's by Chris Morley, an author. He said, big shots are little shots that keep on shooting, right? A big shot is a little shot that keeps on shooting. That's the magic, man. It's one manager at a time. Who are you going to create as a manager this week? Who are you going to create as a manager next week? Who are you going to, and it's one manager at a time, one manager at a time. Who is your new project you're working with? Getting a new person started, boom. Make sure you get the 3 bonus, right? Recruit 3, get that extra bonus. As a team leader, you make $1,200, right? Get that $1,200 is no brainer, and help those 3 people do what? Go to manager. And if they go to manager, they're going to go to senior manager. They go to senior manager, they're going to go to team leader. Get them on the escalator. Grab a new people and help them become successful. This moment in time will never be duplicated again. This moment in time will never be recreated again. We've got to make up our mind right now to say, I'm not going to let this moment in time slip through my fingertips. I'm not going to let this window of opportunity close on me. I'm going to give it everything that I got. We got to be saying right now to ourselves that we've got everything that it takes to be able to win. We're going to make this thing happen. We're going to change our family tree. Here's what we know for sure to be true, right? We know that some of you right now on this call, some of your families are counting on you to make this happen. Some of your families are counting on you to become a success in RIMAN. And I know right now some of you are saying, man, Tim, my heart is on fire. Tim, I am ready to make it happen. I'm ready to step up, man. I'm ready to get the job done. I know what to focus on now. I'm just going to focus on manager after manager after manager after manager after manager after manager after manager. And I'm never going to deviate from that, Tim, until I get to the top. Because I know if I create a manager, I'm going to create a senior manager. If I create a senior manager, I'm going to create a team leader. I know I just got to get them on the escalator. I know that it's not so much about what I do, but why I do it. Every activity that I do from now on is going to be designed to get somebody to manager. I understand now exactly how to make this thing happen. I know exactly how to win big right now with the RIMAN opportunity. I'm going to start creating managers right now like never before. Nothing can stop me. I can do that. I can create a manager. Hey, it might take me 2 months, and it might take me 3 months, but I'm gonna get them there. Some of you, then you start to realize, wait a second, if I can help somebody become a manager in 3 months, it's the same activity to get it done in a week. To be a manager, you're gonna have to talk to a certain amount of people, whether that's 20, whether that's 30, whether that's 40, I don't know. Whether that's 5, maybe it's 3, I don't know. I don't know what somebody's gonna have to do. But what I can tell you is whatever they're gonna have to do, they can do it in a week. If they can do it in 3 months, they can do it in a week. It's the same amount of activity. So I'm going to start hyper growth in my organization, Tim. I'm going to start grabbing my people right now, and I'm going to get them to manager, and we're going to make this thing happen. So hopefully today, some of this information was valuable. I know many of you already know this information. Hopefully some of this stuff, spoke to your heart. I can promise you this, man. This moment in time right now that we're experiencing, it'll never happen again. This company, you guys, we're going to grow in 50 countries the next 5 years. Let's give it everything that we got. This time right now, this is our chance, our time, and I'm telling you, you can do it. You can get the job done. You can make it happen. Let's go all out massive action. Let's start creating managers like never before. Get them to senior manager, get them to team. Let's start growing people. Let's make it happen. God bless you guys. Don't worry.